Hello again. Hi guys. I have been doing my Kwanzaa wrap-up study, I should call that. It was quite a bit of statistics, and I am going to tell you about my results now. General things, I got to learn a lot doing these spreads. I have learned so much that I think I'm still kind of digesting most of it, and I am doing a wrap-up because there are a couple of points that struck me. So by pointing them out to you and repeating them for myself, I hope also to get a bit of a handle on that, whatever that really means. I am quite glad I used only one deck for me in this position, because I was very serious with my work. It was important to me to do this in a way that would be as, I suppose, free from interference as possible, so as to get, because I'm new to this type of engagement with the world and with things around me, and with so I needed to get a clear picture. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. One other point is it's quite a lot of work, so the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. But it is also, I could not have foreseen the level of almost like energy work that it was going to be, which I love, which I'm really grateful for, because I think it's just absolutely worth every minute of it. It was quite intense, so yeah. So what I did also on a more practical level is I counted how many cards came back in all. For example, there were, of all the cards that could have come up, the Knight of Wands came out 3 times, the Moon and the Lovers also came out 3 times. And then we get the King of Cups, the 9 of Swords, the 8 of Discs, and the Knight of Cups. All those came out 2 times. There were no Fool, no Magician, no Priest, yes to that, no Strength, no Wheel of Fortune, Hanged Man, Temperance, Devil, Sun, Judgment, or World cards. So I suppose, you know, it tends to, the whole atmosphere, you get an atmosphere to the whole operation, not just to one part or one spread on one particular day of the 7, but it tends to sort of develop, and it has a particular quality to it because of this cohesiveness, which I personally appreciate very much. So I had in total of the 50 cards, because there was one position where I had 2 cards that came up really for one particular question at some point. I had 3 queens in all, of which none was the Queen of Swords. I had 4 kings, none of which was the King of Swords. I had 5 knights, none of which was a Knight of Swords. I had 1 single page, and that was a Page of Swords. And that was responding to the question about the traditional foundations informing my life. I think that's just, you know, no swords anywhere except for the traditional foundations that inform my life. That just makes me want to run out of the house now. Okay, next bit of statistics. Of all the cards I had, 15 were majors, and 30, what am I writing here? 34 were minors. And so that adds up to, does it? No, 35 were minors and 15 were majors, and all in all that's 50. So that adds up. There's one card that got, you know, written onto the next page that I forgot first, but I added it on later. There were 22 minors that were not court cards, and there were 13 that were court cards. So it looks like there's quite a lot of majors and or court card activity, more than half. So yeah, I suppose it's more or less representative of how much would that be? 4 times 4 is 16, and 22 is 34. Yeah. Cards that are really a person or a force of some sort. And so I had not that many minors cards, I think, somehow. For some reason, it feels like, yeah, okay, muddle here. Sorry about that. As to numbers, so the numbers of the pips, right? There's a heavy emphasis towards the 7, 8, 9, 10 part of the range. I had 4 9s and 4 10s, and then 3 8s and 3 3s, and the rest was all 2s or less. There were no 4s, nowhere. So that's kind of maybe telling something to somebody. I don't know. As to elements, I had a lot of wands, not surprising. Then come swords and pentacles in the second position, shared, and the cups were least of all. So in total, and that's not looking at the kings and queens and the court cards, okay, I have, I have most discs and wands, really. Most wands cards. I am making a bit of a mess of this. Most of all are wands cards. So the fire element is most heavily represented, followed by earth and air. And there's the water element is there in sufficient amount. It's just that it's slightly, just that as it is in my life. I am actually using these different selections so as to also see how it represents the elements or the queens and kings or the numbers in the total of the way I look at my life, and I can only see that it just fits beautifully. I wanted to do something with those symmetries that keep occurring throughout the spreads, like the moon that comes on the third position in day 1 and day 2. The Knight of Cups ends day 3 and starts day 4. There's quite a number of sets like that. And that just keeps striking me. It kept every day there was something like that going on. Like there's a repetition of a pattern, almost like it's drawing attention to itself. It's like in my face. It's more than you would have expected. So all in all, I am not really going to conclude anything so much from this other than the really central bit about the court cards, where there was only 1 page of swords, and all the other people in the spreads were of different elements, and certainly not of the swords element. So I suggest, I think that I come to the conclusion here that I have felt very isolated for a very long time. And I have always felt that everybody else in my life was about other things than what I was about, which is a typical Page of Swords situation. You could say you're a warrior, but I am not the type to be a warrior. I'm way too lazy to be a warrior, but I have had to be. So I am, as I said, it's just been really wonderful also to see the Moon and the Lovers cards come up, the Knight of Wands cards come up again and again. I am struck and surprised at how well I can communicate with these cards. It even gives me some type of hope that I might be able to do this professionally at some point. If I manage to sort of, develop these aptitudes, capabilities into some form of actual activity that might be slightly less personal, but I am learning very well, I think. So I am extremely happy that I did the Kwanzaa and that I stuck to it, that I, committed to it and held fast. And then here we are at the end of it. So I'm going to take a bit of a break from these questions now and digest it all, and we'll probably find some other similar type of activity to do in the near future. Thank you for being here, guys. See you soon.